Welcome to Hometown Happenings. I'm Carol McCarthy, and I'm here today with Dan Olson from the MPCA, also Natural Innovations, a nonprofit organization dealing with educating the community about the environment. And today we're going to talk about air quality, some standards that the Environmental Protection Agency is proposing, and how it relates to Becker County.
That's right. What the Environmental Protection Agency, or the EPA, did in January was release some preliminary new standards for the country in terms of ozone. They're thinking of tightening up those limits for ozone and what's allowable. And when they did that, they looked at all the counties in all the different states, and they looked at what the ozone levels have been in those counties. And at that time, Becker County kind of showed up on the radar as potentially having an issue with those standards. The current standard for ozone is 75 parts per billion, and that's taken over a 3-year average, looking at an 8-hour span of each day and then taking a 3-year average of that. And they first looked at 2006, 7, and 8, and when they did that, Becker County showed up with a level of 62 parts per billion. And what the EPA is looking at doing is lowering or tightening the standard to be somewhere between 60 parts per billion and 70 parts per billion. So at that point, it looked like maybe Becker County was going to have an issue. But we've updated Becker County's statistics to look at 06, or rather 07, 08, and 09. And when we do that, the levels of ozone in this area have actually been decreasing. And that level, the average over the last 3 years, has been 59 parts per billion. So given that scenario, Becker County would not have an issue with the proposed new standards, even in the worst case scenario. Okay. But now that's not to say that we don't have some air quality issues in Becker County occasionally.
Right. One thing before you go on, so what is the big deal about the ozone? I know you've explained that before, but for people just tuning in.
Well, we actually in Becker County now, we have monitors that monitor two things: fine particle emissions and ozone. And the ozone gets monitored only during the period from April through September, because ozone, ground level ozone, is really just a warm weather issue. And it gets created when you have to have a couple things present in order to have ozone get created. Number one, you have to have emissions, vehicle emissions mainly. And number two, you have to have heat or warmth, so that rules out the cold weather months. And then you also have to have sunshine. And when you get those conditions, you can get the development of ozone. And we've definitely seen that happen in the summer months in Becker County, where we've had elevated levels of ozone, which are actually high enough to where they do cause an issue. People with respiratory problems, such as asthma, for example. When we have those elevated levels, we send out an alert so that people that have those conditions can maybe scale back their outdoor activities during those periods.
Okay, and we do keep track of the air quality here in Detroit Lakes.
That's right.
Right out past the radio station, in fact.
Yeah, there's a recording station out there, and if people are interested in seeing what those past histories have been, you can go out to our website, which is pca.state.mn.us, and right on the home page is, down in the corner, is the Air Quality Index site, where you can click there and go to the Detroit Lakes site and look in the past to see what the readings have been, and you'll see that there are no readings for ozone for the wintertime, but in the summer months we definitely get elevated levels. Not so much last year when we had that cool summer with a lot of northwest winds and not a lot of high temperatures. We had relatively low levels of ozone. But in previous summers, where we've had a lot of sunshine, a lot of heat, we've had air quality alerts for ozone.
All right. I'm with Dan Olson today on Hometown Happenings. He's from Natural Innovations and the MPCA. We're talking about air quality issues. We're going to take a quick break and be back with more after this. Welcome back to Hometown Happenings. I'm here today with Dan Olson from the MPCA and Natural Innovations. We're talking about air quality issues. Before the break, we were talking a little bit about the ozone and what the importance of the ozone is and how you kind of monitor things going on in the ozone. So let's talk a little bit more about the ozone.
Yeah, the one thing I wanted to mention is that those who do have respiratory conditions such as asthma and some other conditions like that, the time to be concerned about ozone and paying attention to that, in case you're planning some outdoor activities, especially something very strenuous type of thing, is where we have, again, you need three things to generate ozone, and it's mainly a local issue. It's not something that comes in from somewhere else. It gets generated right here. You need heat, and you need sunlight, so it needs to be blue skies, and then you need sources of vehicle emissions. And so for Becker County, you get those things in the summertime when we have a lot of traffic, a lot of tourists. traffic coming through the area, the sunny days, and then the heat. And so those are the times to be concerned about that.
So is this something that they can forecast, or you just wake up one morning like, you know, we've done that. We've woken up one day and all of a sudden, you know, we have an alert. It doesn't happen often, but a couple times. But is it something that you can really forecast, or?
Well, not always. You can't always predict it. You can just you just know when it isn't going to be a problem if you got cool temperatures and cloudy skies and that type of thing, or when it could be a problem are those hot days, sunny skies, and a lot of vehicle traffic. And so you can't predict it beyond those are the kind of conditions where it can present a problem.
Okay, so that's something that is very real, and it can affect your health, and it's something that you need to listen to. And I know KDLM, we do announce it on the air when there's an air quality issue or air quality alert, because we do get an alert from the MPCA.
Right.
All right. Well, let's talk about some other air quality issues. What are some other things that are monitored and that might affect us?
Right. The other thing that we do monitor for is the fine particles. And these are the types of things that get generated, again, from vehicle exhaust, but and like forest fires and things like that can generate the fine particulate matter. What we most often find, though, is that it comes from larger urban areas, or from the west. Sometimes it can come from coal-fired power plants and that kind of thing. So the fine particulate issue doesn't get generated here so much. It's something that comes in with the big masses of air, and that can happen really any time of the year. And I know we've had air alerts on particulate emissions in the Detroit Lakes area in the fall, and even in the winter we've had one or two. And again, that's something that's we can usually see coming. If we have a problem in the Twin Cities and the winds from the southeast, we can sometimes extrapolate and say, well, we could potentially have an issue up farther north, and so we are able to give people a heads up about that type of thing. But again, that's the kind of issue, the fine particulate emissions, that can occur year-round. And again, in those situations, you kind of just listen for those air alerts. And again, if there is an air alert for the fine particulate emissions, that's a situation where if you can avoid real strenuous outdoor activities, it's probably a good thing, because those fine particles, again, can cause people with asthma problems, but even people who might have problems with their heart disease and that type of thing. These particles are so tiny, they get absorbed into your bloodstream. They can go to your lungs or your heart and cause problems there, and especially if you're doing something really strenuous where you're taking in a lot of air, you know, either exercising or doing some type of work outside.
All right. I'm here with Dan Olson today. He's from Natural Innovations and the MPCA, talking about air quality issues. And Dan, you know, if people want to get alerts, you know, you can actually receive alerts from the MPCA if you sign up, or not sign up, but you just check a box and they, you know, you'll get an instant alert.
Yep. And again, you'd go to our website, which is pca.state.mn.us, and you go to the AQI site, and there's a place there where you can sign up to get those alerts by email. And so that when we do send out these alerts, you will get an alert on your computer that there's a situation coming that you might want to pay attention to. All
right, and we just have a little bit more time left. Why don't you give us a brief synopsis of what Natural Innovations does?
Yeah, Natural Innovations has been working to kind of raise awareness of different environmental issues in the Detroit Lakes and the Becker County area that people might be interested in. It's just a wide variety of topics. We talk about land use and who decides those kind of issues. Right now, for example, one of the things we've been encouraging people to do is find out more about the recreation plan that Becker County is developing, and having input on that and hearing what's going on with that. So that's something that's going on right now.
All right, Dan Olson from the MPCA and Natural Innovations, and I'm Carol McCarthy for Hometown Happenings on TV3.